It's been an interesting year, and we thought we could do our annual celebration for education online, and so far so good. We've got an amazing sign up, we've got a brilliant agenda, so hopefully we can get through everything, and we'll have time at the end for everyone to have a chat as well. So we hope to split you all into breakout rooms so that you can all get to have a conversation and reflect a little bit on the partnership with Wales. Okay, now it's 35 years since the charity has started, which is insane. We've done a lot. We've been back and forth, and now we're in this very, very strange time where we can't travel, yet we have had a very, very busy year indeed. As you know, the statistics for charities surviving COVID are not looking very good. So we hope that this event can reignite some new partnerships, strengthen some old partnerships. We'll go down fighting, or we will be able to generate enough support and enough interest to keep us going. So this event is extremely important. So afterwards, there will be the recording available, and please do share it with other members of your school, of your workplace, of your friends, your family that might be interested and able to support our wee little charity, Dolen Cymru. Okay. Now, tomorrow is World Children's Day. So it's pertinent that we're doing this tonight, that we're able to celebrate and raise awareness of how important it is to have the rights of children, especially now in this time of crisis, brought to the fore. And a lot of the work that we do in education is all about SDG 4, quality education, and putting that pupil and learner's voice at the forefront of teaching and learning. So we will be sharing lots of stories from Wales and Lesotho today that are highlighting how important that is. And at the end of the conference, I'll share some resources with you. If you are a teacher or an education practitioner, there's some takeaways that you can have that you could use tomorrow to promote World Children's Day. Now, we've got a very, very, very busy schedule. I want to say a special, special welcome to our friends in Lesotho, and I'm going to try, hopefully not mangle a little bit of Lesotho here. So, Keale Amole Bochle Hotso. So that is just, I hope you enjoy and welcome everybody. I'm just going to quickly share my screen and show the agenda before we hand over to our opening. Bear with me whilst I do this. So, hang on. There we go. So we are hopefully going to be actually welcoming Eluned Morgan, Minister for Mental Health, Welsh Language and Wellbeing. I'm hoping she might be here already. If not, we will slot her in as and when. But we've got our colleague and friend Susie from the Director of Welsh Centre for International Affairs, who's going to introduce and open our conference in a bit of a better way than me, maybe. And then we're going to hand over to our colleagues in Llanelli, who are going to share about their experiences in Tabaseca before COVID. And then over to Carmarthenshire, where we've got Sean and Anne to talk about the maths work that was actually done in Lesotho. And then they were brought back rather abruptly before lockdown. And then we've got a nice chunk of time to share different case studies and presentations from Lesotho, and hopefully some time for question and answer about what we've actually been doing and celebrating the work that we've been doing online. And like I said, we'll try breakout rooms, and then we'll have our closing speeches. The timings look like they should work. We will play it by ear. We will see how it goes, okay? But what I'd like to do then is introduce Susie and ask her to officially open our conference, please, with your wise words.
Oh, Prynenda, good afternoon. I hope they're wise enough. It's an absolute pleasure to be here and to see so many people join us, both from Wales and Lesotho. So really excited to be involved. As Sharon said, I'm the Chief Executive of the Welsh Centre for International Affairs. And I also chair the Wales Alliance for Global Learning, so really promoting global learning here in Wales throughout the curriculum and lifelong learning. And I just want to say a few words today about why I think global learning is so crucial right now. And I'm going to start by just thinking back to March when the first lockdown hit us. And at that point, really, our worlds shrunk, in many cases to just our houses, maybe villages, or a few local streets. And in many cases, our connections became fully virtual, which caused some challenges and some loneliness. But it also gave some opportunities, perhaps, for having more international connections than ever before. And I remember one of the first things I did in lockdown, I was sat in the same attic on my own just after lockdown started. And I reached out to contacts I've got around the world and just asked them to share their experiences, what was happening for them, how was this pandemic treating them. And I got some really quick responses back, really more than I expected. From Zambia, where there was a retired nurse who was concerned about the lack of hand washing facilities. From Eritrea, where they were quietly confident their government could handle the situation due to previous experience handling infectious diseases. People in Vietnam who were, experiencing really strict lockdowns, but those seemed to curb the spread really well. We immediately started having online meetings, and the first thing we talked about in these sort of multinational online meetings was COVID. It became the topic of conversation and this mutual experience. And while we recognized that, there were massive differences in experiences depending on how our governments were reacting, on the resources, on various levels of poverty and inequality, there was also a feeling of real solidarity that we were facing this challenge together. And I think there was a real comfort in that solidarity. And when we come to our young people and how they've experienced this pandemic, we know there's been a really hugely disproportionate impact on young people. Many young people around the world have left education and may never go back due to the lockdowns. It's had a huge impact on young people's mental health, on their prospects for work, with the economy in a difficult position. We know that things like digital exclusion and poverty have exacerbated the inequalities that were already here. But I think also something that adds to the anxiety or the concern for young people and all of us is that, governments have given this emergency response to COVID, but perhaps not to the other major issues that concern all of us and our young people, like the climate and nature emergencies, like inequality, as we saw manifest in the Black Lives Matter movement earlier this year. So those concerns are worsened. And I mean, through education, obviously we need to manage those anxieties of young people, but we also need to,
sorry.
We're getting meeting one now, cooking.
Can we all press mute, guys, please? Oh, is that Mima Safi? I think she's on a meeting.
That's right.
Can you mute people there, V?
I'm trying to, but some people I can't. I'm having a trouble there.
It's Mamita Mosafi.
I tried to do her.
You done the mic, it's alone.
Apologies, guys.
Sorry, I'm trying.
I'll crack on.
Sorry, Susie.
No, it's okay.
I've done it.
No worries. It's a natural part of the joy of international collaboration on Zoom. We're used to it these days. Yeah, so I mean, I was just going back to where I was on, through education, we're obviously managing that situation with our young people, but also equipping them for a world where really all of the challenges and opportunities we face are globally interconnected. So our economies, our societies, our environment, and people are really connected in complex and ever-changing in ways. I mean, the food that we get, the materials we consume come from all over the world. Some of the extreme weather events that we see are from the climate change that we all contribute to in a little way at different levels in different places. And I think the global pandemic has been a really powerful manifestation of that interconnectedness from around the world. We know that viruses can start anywhere and travel at lightning speed around the world. And some of the things that we need to solve the crisis. So all of that personal protective equipment that teachers have had to wear, that doctors and nurses have needed, has come from all over the world and often made in not brilliant conditions. Also the vaccinations, which are giving us such hope right now, those have been made through international collaboration and partnerships. And the technologies that we might need to tackle our other challenges will also come from collaboration around the world, whether that's at grassroots partnership level or at sort of scientific level or government level. We need that cooperation. So what does this mean for our educators and those of us in the room today? I think for me, it means that global learning is absolutely fundamental as a part of young people's education. It gives them the knowledge and understanding of these issues, and these really are very complicated, complex issues, but it gives them the opportunity to cut through the fake news and the conspiracy theories that we see all around us, and to understand the facts, and also to develop shared understanding through partnerships with people from around the world. And this is even easier now with the digital resources we have available. I mean, this conference is a perfect example of how we can come together in new ways. Also over the summer, we often do face-to-face Model United Nations and summer schools. And this year, because we did them online, people from other countries were able to join, and it just deepens and enriches the experience when you have that opportunity to make those connections. Learners in partnerships like the ones between Wales and Lesotho can share experiences and get on the ground experience and knowledge and build solidarity with their partners from around the world. And through that, young people develop really important key skills that they need to navigate these complex issues: critical and creative thinking, teamwork, empathy. And then with those knowledge and skills, they can feel confident and empowered to speak out about what they think should be done about these issues, to use their voices. I think about some of the global goalkeepers in Carmarthenshire working with their local council to change how they tackle the climate crisis, to young people who work to make their schools of sanctuary for welcoming refugees. And this is a key issue. We've got over 70 million refugees in the world now. You know, these are crucial issues we need to handle. And I think global learning does give the opportunity and the tools so that young people can make a difference in their own lives, in their schools, in their local communities, and with partners around the world. I remember listening to examples, and I'm sure more will be shared today, where learners in Wales really got great ideas about reusing and recycling from their partner schools in Lesotho. And it's that kind of sharing and partnership that's incredibly powerful. So I'll just close on the note that I hope that as young people go back to or continue with the slightly unusual education they're receiving this year, the blended learning, the interrupted learning, that nonetheless we can make global learning a really crucial part and a core part of that education, using digital technology to make those relationships new and deeper, bringing in people from around the world to their experience. So we can build solidarity and develop shared ideas for action, and young people can feel equipped to face the future and the challenges and opportunities together in partnership with people from around the world. So thank you very much. It's been a real pleasure to open, and I'm really looking forward to the rest of the session.
Thank you so much, Susie. I'm sure everybody here, which now actually we are looking at 94 people in the room, which is remarkable, was just, you know, can echo what you were saying, and particularly it's a lot of our Lesotho colleagues that have been up against even further challenges that we have over here. And they, well, certain number that are with us now have been doing a lot of training with the British Council online, which I'll talk about later. And, you know, they're having very in-depth and quite critical thought processes happening about their own teaching and thinking about how they're going to go back so that they can ensure their learners are going to be given these core skills and have been able to navigate their way through this world that we're in now. So thank you very much, Susie, indeed. Now, I think I saw Minister Eluned in the room. Are you there? You have got my name, I think.
I've got Sharon's name, yes, it's
yes,
Eluned Morgan speaking.
Lovely. Can I ask you to share a few words, please, Minister?
Great. Well, first of all, thank you very much for inviting me to participate, and it's great to see Susie again and all of the people who are involved in the Dolen Cymru link. I've always been interested in Dolen Cymru, partly because my mother was the chair of Dolen Cymru for about 7 years, and she's always taken a big interest in it. And in fact, she's eavesdropping on us now. Look, she's sitting over here.
Oh, Elaine, hello, Elaine.
There we are.
Wonderful.
2 meter distance rules going on in this family. So she's absolutely delighted that I'm able to carry on the family interest in the link, and indeed it was my auntie Gwen who was one of the first instigators of the connection. So I'm just delighted that it's been going on for so long. 35 years is something that we should be really, really proud of, and congratulations to all of you who have made this such a success. I'm speaking to you today from St. David's, which of course has a link with Matseng. And it's been fantastic over the years to welcome so many people from Lesotho to this very, very most western corner of Wales. And it's been lovely to welcome, you know, the Queen and the Princess and all kinds of people here. I remember telling my daughter that she was going to meet a princess, and of course she expected somebody in this wonderful pink frock and looked like Cinderella, and she went out on the square and met this princess and realized she was just like her, and she was absolutely delighted. So that was a wonderful experience. I just really want to say that I've stepped down recently as Minister for International Relations, where part of my job was to look at how we can build our relationships with countries around the world. And I was very keen to emphasize in our new international strategy the important link with Lesotho. And it is something that's been underlined very clearly in that new strategy. And in particular, a focus on women's organizations and the links with women in Lesotho. So I'm delighted to see that that's in there, and I'm confident that we'll make real moves to make sure that we deliver on those promises. Just to say also, tomorrow is the UNESCO World Children's Day, so it's an important time for us to be here, and I don't think there's a better way for us to understand the link between us. I think the relationships between our children is something that we should be really, really proud of. I know in the school here, they've been on rugby tours to Lesotho. I know in my daughter's school that my daughter was actually devastated this year because I told her that there's no way she could go skiing. If she's going anywhere, she's going to Lesotho. So that was the deal. And then of course it was cancelled because of COVID. So lots of disappointment in our family. But just to say that COVID has obviously changed the environment for all of us and changed the way we work. And most of it is really negative, and most of it has created huge problems for so many people in our society. But I do think that it's also allowed us to innovate. And the very fact that we are here together, meeting together all over the world, or at least from two parts of the world, and being able to communicate in this way, I think is a wonderful way for us to move forward. And of course, with the pressures of climate change and financial pressures, perhaps this is a more innovative way for us to work. And we just need to be more confident in terms of using the technology that's available to us. So just to say that I'm just delighted to be here. The First Minister was very disappointed that he couldn't join us today. You can imagine we're still really fighting the pandemic here in Wales, and there's still a hugely long way to go. But we do hope that we will be able to maintain our connections and to build this relationship in future. Felly diolch yn fawr iawn I chi, a gobeithio allwn ni gario ymlaen gyda'r cysylltiad yma am dyfodol.
Fantastic. Kayla Bower, Minister, that was perfect and beautiful words indeed, and wonderful for our friends in Lesotho to meet you as well as our colleagues here in Wales. Just a tiny bit of housekeeping for people now, because I can see there's a few issues with sound. If you are really struggling and you can't hear anything, well, you can't hear me say this actually, but maybe somebody could put this in the chat. Everything's going to be recorded so you can get the video. I have put in the chat as well about people maybe going out and coming back in if there is a problem. And everyone to stay muted, so the red microphone stays on your screen unless we have got a point where we can have question and answers, or unless you're speaking or presenting, because it keeps all that background noise down. I was going to say something else. It's completely gone out of my brain. It will come back. I know what it was. Too many Sharon Flints in the room still. So if you can rename yourself, please try. You might need to fiddle around a little bit if you're on your phone, but there will be an option that can help you rename yourself so that on your screen, we're not going to have 50 versions of me. It's wonderful, but I don't have that much big of an ego at all. So I would love to see people's names. So without further ado, I'm going to pass over to two wonderful head teachers. Oh, actually, no, I'm not. I've got a video. Oh, goodness me. I'm very sorry. Straight off. I've got my other device here with my running order. I'm going to give you an overview of the work in Lesotho done this year with a quick video. And then I'm going to pass straight over to colleagues from Llanelli, and I'll give you a little bit more insight in that in a second. So I'm just going to share screen and show you this clip. There we go. Okay, that was a short. I knew this would happen. I apologize. I pressed play rather than the next slide. Oh, there we go. This is going to be our first speaker, Anthony. Wonderful snapshot there. Just quickly before I introduce Anthony and Kerry, as you'll see in the film, we had a shortened input in Lesotho this year, but it was still action-packed with lots of activity. So I would like to ask Anthony and Kerry to represent the group that went over in February. There was quite a number of teachers went over in February, actually, that went to Mahotlong and went to Kuting. But we held a special event in Tabatseka, which was focused on SDG 4 quality education. So I've asked Anthony and Kerry as two head teachers from very key partner schools in Llanelli that have taken part in our Wales teacher placement programme. So they've had teachers from Lesotho stay with them from 6 to 7 weeks over the last 2 years. And they're also involved in the Connecting Classrooms programme. So I've asked them to speak and share their stories, and I don't want to take away from also, we had the lovely Gwael Morris went with them as well, but we've got a very action-packed agenda, so we're just going to hear from Anthony and Kerry at this point, and hopefully we'll have some time for a question and answer. So I've got 2 little video clips to share, and then we will have a live chat. Okay, bear with me.
day I arrived in RA, it seemed the whole village turned out. All the boys were pink and red, and the girls were in their traditional costumes, all of them singing and dancing. And it seemed that the elders of the village and the school governors, the teachers, mums and their babies as well, all came out just to say hello to me. It was a truly memorable moment. So many children and the staff at the school, they seem so resilient. They overcome every obstacle. The children walking miles on their own to get into school, the staff coping with no resources, and infrastructure. They just get on with it. And they're just so glad to be at school. And I think this continues into the adults as well, driving along the roads there, which could barely be called roads, but they just get on with it. I love their resilience. I'm so dependent on IT, copiers, printers, computers, downloadable resources, that when it came down to preparing lessons for the teachers' conference, we had to go back to the old ways, and it came as quite a big shock to the system. But being like a student teacher again, it was quite good fun. We needed some printouts for our conference, and so we went into the town with a flash drive, ready to find someone that could print out. We eventually found someone in a back alley, set up his own business with a desktop computer, a printer, and a stack of A4 paper. He was worried that he might run out of colour cartridges. I showed him through the printer options how to print out in just black. He was thrilled with that. I'd like to think that he's now going to make his millions just because of that extra option to his armoury. The four of us Welsh teachers had been out for a lovely walk around Taberseca, and we were returning back to our house early evening, and there seemed to be an awful lot of students still around in their school uniforms. As usual, most of them were saying hello to us and us to them. It was great when one of the girls said "Shemai" to us, which we gladly replied to. But I asked one of the girls, where have you been? And she replied that she'd been to the physics club, after school club. I told her I was useless at physics when I was in school. And she said, I'm not very good either. That's why I go to club. And that just blew me away. Their determination to learn, even in such difficult circumstances.
So, Lillian, can you explain what you're doing? Explain what you were doing. What have you done? What have you done?
We have drawn a person here.
Drawn a person?
Yes.
It is such a handsome person.
Yeah.
Apologies, Anthony, I had to put that in. Okay, thank you very much. We're going to always replaying. Right, I'm going to learn this by the end of the conference, folks. There we go. Now, Mr. Morris from Swiss Valley Primary School. Here we go.
At Catlehong Primary School, the biggest challenge would have been the size of the classes, with over 170 in some of them. The children at Catlehong Primary School, taking such a pride in their appearance, after walking from their schools to the conference centre, taking off their grey socks and then putting on white ones and brushing their shoes to make sure that their appearance was fantastic. Seeing the children at both conferences opening up after a nervous start and participating eagerly in the practical lessons, those were lovely moments. Seeing a fantastic phonics lesson being taught by Natate Kosi Mofalisa outside with a group of over 100 children, and all of them being fully engaged. Seeing the Basotho teachers having one of those light bulb moments after seeing their children participating in the lessons and being active learners as opposed to passive ones. There were so many happy moments, but one that I will always remember is the welcome that we had at Catlehong Primary School on our first morning. It was absolutely amazing. My lasting impressions of the children in Lesotho, and especially at Catlehong Primary School, was their resilience and their independence. The resilience could be seen when a little 5-year-old boy fell over. He obviously had hurt, he then just dusted himself down and then carried on without any fuss.
Wonderful, thank you, Kerry. Now, Kerry and Anthony are going to have a bit of a conversation now and sharing their information. The best way to view this is to go up to the top right-hand part of your screen and click on speaker view, and then only the people that should be speaking should come up so that you get a better view of Kerry and Anthony, hopefully at the same time. And I'll mute myself. So then that should work. Okay, hand over to you guys.
Hi. Are we on? Can you hear me? Yeah. Dumela? Hi, Anthony, are you there?
I'm here.
Right. Okay. I was wondering for a moment. Can I just say right at the beginning that one of the things that we were doing in the conference, which we'll come to in a minute, was looking at success criteria and how important success criteria was. And the brief that we had was to make a video of 2 minutes. So initially, I made a video which was about 7 minutes. And Gwawr then looked at it and she said, that is far too long. Your brief is 2 minutes. So that's why my answers were a bit short. I cut them a bit short there. Anthony, however, was far more entertaining than mine. But however, he hadn't stuck to his success criteria. So, right, okay, Anthony. So this is supposed to be a little talking heads opportunity, really, because both of us we've had a life-changing opportunity to go to Lesotho, and we just want to share some of our some of the times that we've had there. So Anthony, do you want to say a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I think it's important to mention, I noticed that Sean Watkins popped out of the room just as we came onto screen. I think he's probably scared what I might say about him, but all I will say is that compliment you heard at the end of the video was the only one I had from him for the whole of the 2 weeks with him. But I did enjoy.
Oh, Anthony, have you frozen? No. Have we lost Anthony? Or have we lost me?
It might just be you, Kerry, talking heads for you at the moment. Anthony will come back now.
Anthony, come back. Right, okay. Right.
Back,
I was going to ask him a little bit about how he got involved in the project. You're back.
Don't know what happened.
Because both of us really, we've only been involved, considering that the project's been running for 35 years. It's only recently that we've got involved. Myself since 2018. We had started at that particular time. I was executive head across 2 schools in Llanelli, Darwin and Swiss Valley. And we started off with one teacher who was with us, and she was with us for 6 weeks. So she was going back and forth between the 2 schools. And whereas in the past we'd had visitors to the school and had limited impact, what we felt was having somebody in the school for that length of time made a massive difference, because the children had a far deeper understanding about what was going on, in other parts of the world, and especially in Lesotho. So we built on that then. So in 2019, we continued with our link in Katlehong Primary, but also we developed a link in Botswana school as well. So we had 2 teachers who linked with Darwin, Nantate Tibalo and Me Mamasilo, and so they linked with Darwin. And then with Swiss Valley we had the then deputy principal, who is Nantate Fusi, and also Mayor Julia, who worked with us. So again, one of them was across only for a week, so they stayed with us for a week in our house, Tabalo and Fusi, and we really got to know them really, really well, which I think will, helped that, you know, the developing relationships between the two schools. And then, of course, in February, we had the opportunity to go out, and the reciprocal visit was fantastic. So yes, it's only 3 years that we've been involved. And Anthony, over to you.
It's a very similar experience to Kerry's. Initially, we knew very little about Dolen Cymru and the work that they do. But I think an opportunity just came whereby there were some schools that could be involved, and we were willing, we were available, and we fell into the project without knowing a great deal about it. But we are really pleased that we were available at that time, because it's opened up so many different opportunities for us as a school, and for the staff and for the children. You know, we now have the situation whereby children in the school, they know that Lesotho is one of the 3 landlocked countries in the world. They know that Lesotho's lowest elevation is still higher than Snowdon. And they know things like that, which they could never possibly have known before. But of course, it's the relationships that we've been able to form over the 2 visits that we've been involved in, and sadly the one that we missed, but we've been able to maintain those to a degree. So it's opened up so many opportunities. Of course, it did lead then to Kerry and myself and a few others being able to go out to Lesotho in February. So Kerry's going to just tell us a little bit about his first week in Tabaseka.
Yes, so in the first week, we were part of the CCGL project during the first week. So, you know, our aim was to mentor, to have a look at what the teachers had been doing since returning to Lesotho, but also, you know, it was the development of the pupil voice. So seeing how that had developed, you know, in the schools. So had an opportunity to spend time in the lessons, you know, looking at lessons, making lesson observations. And, you know, one of the good things that I saw out there was that some of the assessment for learning strategies which had been used in schools in Wales were being used in the classrooms, especially in the 2 teachers who had been to Wales. We could see that was clear, that AFL strategies were developing. And you've got to, you know, one of the biggest challenges that you could see when we were out there was, you know, the size of the classes. So AFL strategies in classes of 170, you know, 150 plus, you know, they're challenging to anybody. So we did have an opportunity to trial different things with the children, and the children were very eager to learn about Wales. But you know, we also had a chance to spend time with the children themselves. So, you know, the pupil voice, looking at, well, what had happened. We were talking about setting up school councils. We'd been talking about that when they were over in Wales. It was a lovely opportunity to meet up with the children themselves and to see how proud they were of their roles and their responsibilities and the ideas that they had for improving their schools and making things better. So, you know, it was so sad that, you know, we've missed now an opportunity with COVID and of course the teachers' strike previously. So, you know, it's the momentum which we've struggled with a bit there. But you know, the opportunity to see it in practice was fantastic, and actually then just looking at, well, what can we do to sort of move things forward again, and having a chance to speak to the principal, I think was something that I enjoyed doing, and setting targets with the principal. Because the deputy, because Fusi, Ntate Fusi has since become principal in Catlahong Primary, so it was lovely that we had an opportunity to look at different levels as well. So the first week I felt was really worthwhile. but I know Anthony had a completely different experience because we were in a town and you were in a rural community, weren't you?
Yes, in a very small village associated with the local Catholic Church and the mission centre. And whilst I didn't see class sizes a great deal different to what I would have here in my school here in Llanelli, it was still a very different experience. We took the opportunity to do very similar work with the school as Kerry did. The focus was on promoting learner voice, so we spent quite a bit of time with the teachers seeking to develop initially a school council, and they were very well set up to carry that on. Of course, a lockdown came and perhaps stalled those intentions a little. And we also then focused because of where the staff wanted to take the learning upon assessment for learning techniques. So just simple little games and tricks that we use in our schools, such as lollipop sticks and thumbs up, thumb down. But it was great to see those in action whilst we were in the school, and to see the children becoming increasingly engaged in the lessons rather than receiving information all of the time. So it was a really positive but all too brief week. Of course, following that, I moved back from the rural village into the town, which was it was quite a big thing to get used to again. Moved in with the other teachers that were living in Tabaseca for the fortnight. I'm not sure that I was welcomed, but I had to move in all the same. And for the second week then for us, it was focus on the teachers conference. So that was, again, very, very different. As I mentioned in the video, there's so many obstacles for us to overcome, but it was great fun for us as a team to look for ways around those problems, and then to be able to engage in those conferences and share with some really keen members of staff from quite a lot of different schools, all sorts of strategies to do with assessment for learning, pupil voice, and then enabling the teachers to have ways to assess during lessons. I don't know, Kerry, do you want to talk any more about the conferences themselves?
Yeah, so the conference, you know, I felt that I learned a lot myself. We were very fortunate in that we did have Sean Watkins was with us. So he's got lots of experience of running courses, and that was, you know, something that I felt that I learned from that, actually, you know, from the planning stage to the delivery and the feedback, you know, so the review of the actual conference. I thought that was really enlightening, and also an opportunity to sort of strip back what our role as head teachers or as a head teacher is. Because very often in Wales there are lots of things which we do, and we may not always feel that you know that they are the most important things. I think, you know, stripping it back and looking at, okay, what are the most important things? Well, the most important things in my eyes are looking at your school and understanding what the strengths are, and obviously what areas of development there are. And then we discussed in the conference or shared with the conference some of the methods that we use in our schools, you know, some of the newer ways of doing it with the learning walks, and also, you know, with the work scrutiny. So in the conference itself then we did trial that, getting the children, the Basotho children, they had their books, and then what we were doing was then asking them questions with regards to their work. And you know, you could feel at the beginning they were very, very cagey, and then you could see it how they were opening up and becoming more confident and talking about their work. So I think that was a good aspect, and you know, looking at our role, you know, carefully looking at our role, and I thought that was something that I personally learned, got out of it. Hopefully, by sharing our ideas, we shared some of our experience. So, what was it like for you then, Anthony?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think whilst we were able to impart a lot of information and a lot of knowledge and experience, I think it's really important to emphasize as well what we got out of it. I think we got so much out of it personally. Yes, the experience itself, going to a country, a wonderful country like Lesotho, the welcome was superb. Seeing how education runs differently in other schools, but then also personal things for us as well. For instance, I'd never been involved in setting up and running a conference such as that, so it certainly helped me. But then also the things that we bring back home with us. So there's the experience that we then share with our fellow staff and our pupils. Involvement in the various programs. I'd never heard of sustainable development a good few months ago, but now it's one of the things that we're mapping into our new curriculum as we develop it. So it really has, the involvement in all of these programs has benefited us personally, and also as a school, and of course the children benefit from that as a result. So yes, fantastic opportunities, and really would recommend to anybody that can get involved to do so.
Thank you, folks. That was wonderful. What I'm going to do is just share a little clip of some voices from Lesotho now who spent some time with you and took part in the conference. And if anyone has any questions for Kerry or Anthony, please put them in the chat, and we can always follow up after the conference if we don't have a chance for any more feedback later on. But wonderful to hear from both of you. Thank you very much. Let me just share my slide again, and you can see this little video coming in from Tabat Seka. Oh, I've done it again. How many times am I going to do this today? Right, there we go.
The activity was wonderful and learners enjoyed them. I interviewed one of the learners who was involved in the activity, and they were very impressed. And I think even the education officers who were there enjoyed it. And I hope they will help us to practice it at our various schools. And hopefully they will like to see it being practiced in our schools when we open, because the skills that we have seen from our learners is that they can do things on their own, but we don't do that as teachers. We sometimes spoon feed them, which is wrong, because if they gather information and they do everything for themselves, they will learn that and they will never forget.
Hello everybody, my name is Lisa Teru. My school's name is Kazaho Primary School. I am in grade 5. I am a girl. I really enjoyed it because we really had a chance to speak out, and it was really fun to see how people I attend school with. I meet my classmates who are which kind of people. I would like to thank the Sustainable Development people for everything they've done for us, for giving us a chance to show that we can do anything if we trust ourselves. You please believe in yourself and practice being perfect. And I think I want the teachers to really do what they did. It would really be awesome. It was great. I really enjoyed it, and I want them to come back again and do that again. It was really fun.
Wonderful. I'm sure if Ntate Fuzi or May Lillian or May Julia are in the conference, they can add some comments to the chat, and I'm sure they can ensure that Aussie's wishes are met next year when schools open. Hopefully there can be lots of interactive teaching, and you guys are now the Sustainable Development Officers, which is wonderful. So there you go, Anthony. You should make a badge for that, I think. Right, we are hugely behind time, but that's okay. So we're going to swiftly move over to our numeracy ambassadors, our wonderful Sean and Anne, and hear from their experiences whilst they were in Tabaseca earlier this year as well. You're going to share your screen, Sean, now, aren't you?
In a moment, yeah. So we've actually, I've got a summary of what we actually were hoping to achieve. And what I think normally watching me talking is pretty boring, so I'm going to put a slideshow behind with lots of nice images, which will make it a lot more interesting. So if you do nod off, you can still watch the images. Anne and I actually met up a couple of days ago, socially distanced, and had a talk about what we did. And then to finish off, I've just put together some ideas about where I think maybe we'll go in the next year with no visits to Lesotho, and what we can do on that. So I'm quite interested that, you know, somebody said I've been there 3 years. Yeah, the first year was acceptance. I can remember being in Tabaseca and a young boy running into the classroom after about 5 weeks and saying, Natati Sean, there's a white man in the school, meaning someone else had arrived. So I was obviously accepted. And then second year is recognition, because I was walking down, I think it was the first weekend I was there, and a young Loti student came up to me, stared at me for about 5 minutes and said, you look like Natati Sean. And I said in an I-Spartacus way, I am Natati Sean. And he said, oh, welcome. And then last year, the final year was obviously integration. By this time, anyone who is over 40 and white in Tabaseca is known as Natati Sean. So I've sort of consumed all of that sort of area. Right, so I'm going to share the screen. I'm just going to put some images of, it's only a slideshow, but some images of Tabaseca and some of the photos that Anne and I have of Tabaseca there. And I'll talk about what we were hoping to do as this is going through. So if you're not interested, just switch your ears off and just watch. Okay, so this year, the plan was different from the previous years in a sense. Sharon and I talked about it, and we'd really like the sort of idea of training teachers to become lead teachers. So the idea was to have a sustainable goal at the end in terms of people out there who could actually own the courses themselves and run the courses themselves. So that was the aim. And the way we planned it was to do it on a sort of 4-week basis where I'd be working in schools, 3 primary and 4 high schools, working with grades 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, and just trying ideas, not being held to the curriculum, but just trying ideas, seeing what worked, seeing what didn't work, and then seeing which teachers I thought might be able to help on courses, and then using that information to run some courses for a week at the end of that, and then redoubling the whole thing to do a second session with another set of courses. Intertwined with that was a lot of stuff that Sharon, you know, gives me, you know, she's never stops, but also working with high school, running a course, and then going into Maseru district where we'd already established a few courses there last year, working with Kunene and Belina, who I think will be talking later on, and trying to develop, get them to organize and develop their own courses in that sort of second year, and working with them for a week on that. Integrated with that was some work in LCE with the students, both in Maseru and in Tabaseca. And then at the end of the whole period, the idea was then to have a week where we, you know, through the courses identified maybe 15 teachers who we felt had that sort of communication skill of just being good at what they said, how they said it, lively, open, who could really be trained up as then that sort of sustainable future group of teachers, lead teachers, who could then work within Mansignane and within Tabaseca as support officers, really. Sort of DRT could go out there, they could use these people to help support and train. So that was the idea. In fact, COVID broke it down about halfway through, so we didn't end up doing everything we wanted, but we did have some really good gains. And I think, you know, 2 of the big gains for me was that we did some outreach courses in Katsi and in Sehonghong, both of them 3.5 hours there, 3.5 hours back in pickups. But what we had was people who'd been on courses last year, who'd obviously quite enjoyed the course, who wanted to have us out there so their colleagues could get them. And basically what we found was that actually they were using the stuff they'd developed that they'd met last year. And that was really rewarding, seeing them talking about that with us. So that was a big bonus. The second big bonus was actually working with young students in school. So in other words, in primary school, working with young student teachers, and then working with young student teachers in high school in particular. The third, I guess, big gain was that we actually did integrate college, student teachers, and teachers in the high schools, and ran a course specifically for them. I think that was the first time maybe all those different areas had come together. And, you know, high school was difficult, getting in there, getting the teachers to accept you because they think they're going to be judged. But once they'd realized that we weren't being judgmental, I think they could see the benefits of maybe talking things through and seeing new ideas. Because to put a context on all of this, and I think this is what's always forgotten about maths in Lesotho and in particular the Tabaseca area, grade 7 exam results is about 25% achieving what, you know, is basically what they call adequate. I think that there's another word for it, but pretty well it sounds like adequate in a sense. And that means that proficient, sorry, it's proficient. So, you know, that's an awful lot of children not able to start up what should be in high school. And what we wanted to do was try and establish a sort of link between primary school and high school and get that sort of continuity on the way the children were finding out information and then able to process that information when they went to a new school with a new context. So that was basically what happened this year. The aim was to get a group of teachers. That aim hasn't been fulfilled. But on the other hand, we did discover some good ideas. And I think there is a way forward for what Dolen can contribute to Lesotho as far as maths is concerned in the future. Now I'm going to come out of this and I'm just going to tell you what the next session is going to be. And then in that, you're going to be introduced to my big friend, Anne. So I'm just trying to find my little cursor here somewhere, which I can't find now. Oh, there it is. Okay. So Anne and I met, as I told you, and we were supposed to have a little talking heads. It doesn't work like that with Anne all the time, because once I'd started asking her a question, she froze. And I'm not sure whether she froze because I was doing it in English and it should be in Welsh between us two. But once we got a conversation, I think that it sort of worked. So this is us two talking together about some of what we saw, what we enjoyed, and maybe our hopes for maths in Lesotho. So, Sharon? Sound, Sharon?
The biggest difference from...
Is the sound not working?
Sound's working now.
Oh.
Yeah, but the teachers actually responded very much as children do, and with a lot of enthusiasm. And the fact that they were actually enjoying it, hopefully that will feed into the way maths will develop in their classrooms.
Because the numbers were bonkers, weren't they? I mean, you only had 120 in one of yours, I think.
I did, yes.
But I think what I felt what they got out of it was, you know, that they saw mathematics being taught in a slightly different way because they were the ones being taught.
Yes.
And resources being used.
I think they really liked the fact that we were using resources and resources that they could actually produce themselves.
Yeah.
I remember there was a great queue waiting for one of the resources that I had produced out of a plastic bottle the night before.
Yeah, and I also think, you know, because we were dragging them up, you know, we were dragging up to the front.
Yeah.
They were taking part in the session.
They were very competitive.
Yeah, they were. So what do you think about the future? I mean, you know, obviously we're not there all the time, and you know, what I noticed was that Kunene and Belina, who worked with us on those courses in the National area,
and they were excellent.
The Basuto's response to them running the course was different to us. You know?
I like the fact that you incorporate jokes and when you're teaching, you keep their interest by throwing in some entertaining pieces in the middle. But they were doing the same thing, but using their own jokes in their own language.
And that formality wasn't there, wasn't it? They were beginning to get non-formal about the whole thing and relaxing themselves.
Yes, yes.
So come on, a couple of spin-offs about some of the courses. I mean, I do remember the one in Simone where we felt that we weren't going to be liked at all. Do you remember that one? And then so we built on a course we ran last year as well, if I remember, because we went up to Leribe, ran a course of secondary, and we came back and said, look, we've got to do some work in secondary. And we actually did that this year.
Yes.
And that was exciting.
Yes, that course was exciting because it involved lectures from college, teachers, students.
And students out on practice.
Students on practice.
So it was like a complete amalgam of different people.
Primary and secondary.
That was brilliant.
And I think that really worked because I felt that the lecturers themselves took ownership of that.
Yeah, and I felt that they might actually use that in the future.
Yeah, and they enjoyed it as well, and they showed that they enjoyed it.
Maybe it was the first link really that we've ever had between school teachers and college lecturers.
Yes.
That was really exciting.
Yes.
And the other course, of course, I mean, I've got to mention it, was that journey to cancer, which was just unbelievable. I mean, what was it, 3 hours in the back of the truck? You sitting in the front in lecture. No, but the course itself, it was nice to be able to go to somewhere. And what I found from that course was actually that all those courses we ran last year, these people coming and they were telling us,
they were
got to do in the future now, I suppose, is try and build on what we've established and get the Basuto running their own courses.
Yes.
Okay.
And we've had examples of those teachers coming out to the front and showing that they are excellent teachers, and the fact that they have actually been able to use ideas that were thrown in last year.
And a joy from teaching.
Yes.
Good. All right, so we'll say goodbye.
We are very squeezed for time, Sean. So what I'm going to point people to are some of the videos on YouTube that we've got. Because what I'd like to do now is jump straight to the little clip I've got of Kunene and Belina, because I think, you know, moving your conversation on to where it goes next and handing over to our leaders in Lesotho, I think is really important. And if you do have any questions for Sean or Anne, please put it in the chat and we can follow up later on. We are 15 minutes behind. So we are going to try and squeeze a few things and see how we get on. And there will be a chance for a comfort break, folks, as well. So please do bear with us. I just want to show you a very short clip from Lesotho from Mazenod, right? Wrong one. That's the one that you can access on YouTube later, okay? That one. Have I gone back? No, hang on, I've gone the wrong way. Bear with me. Sorry, folks. I should have this down by now. There we go. Right.
I attended several workshops held by Dolen, and it was a lovely experience working with him, and I learned a lot from him.
We created the maths group, whereby we are assisting the teachers about the maths concept, like this. And now then ask ourselves, what are the chances of getting the red counter out of this?
Now, during the lockdown, through the financial help from Dolen, we are doing online weekly maths workshops where we have created the WhatsApp group of 98 teachers. We send videos, audios, and pictures, and they ask questions whenever necessary. And Dolen is an overseer of everything because we consult him every now and then when the need arises.
So short and sweet, but ultimately, the work that Anne and Sean have done has led us into a position where we're able to help and support remote learning. And this is what has been happening during lockdown, which is quite remarkable. So Belina and Quinene and Setempe, who you will see later, are really core to this maths group that are working in Mazenod just outside Maseru. And they are spreading their skills weekly to the whole of the Maseru district using this WhatsApp group. And now there's numerous challenges when we come to remote learning for us and anyone in the world. But what we found with the maths group piloting their way forward was to reduce the amount of data. They would use photographs and audio clips and then put them together and send them out weekly, and have a feedback system on WhatsApp where they're mentoring a lot of these teachers, and the engagement has been fantastic. So what I've done just to support that is to knit everything together, to turn them back into videos and put them on YouTube so that they can be archived and viewed by other people. So again, colleagues here that are from other parts of Lesotho, you're going to be able to access that, and you can be part of this burgeoning community, which we also have done through Sean creating a Facebook group. So that's got the same principle, Sean, hasn't it, where you would put up videos and then you get questions and you would be answering and mentoring people through that Facebook group as well. So there's two different ways in, and ideally they mix together. But what we've got with the WhatsApp approach is that it's very localized, but then we can build it as an archive for other teachers in Lesotho, which is quite exciting. You've got quite a lot of people on the Facebook group, Sean, haven't you?
Yeah, I'd just like to say that the Facebook group was just, you'd suggested doing something, and it's just basically a collection of ideas. But talking about involvement in Wales, if maths teachers in Wales wanted to contribute something to that, that would be an amazing sharing of resource, I think, for the future. So I think Dolen will look at see how we can maybe make that a better platform. That's a future sort of from us as well.
Yeah, which also brings me to this slide, which is a Padlet, which is a really good collaborative tool. And this is our Lesotho-based one. So as you can see, there's lots of beautiful pink slides up there, because additional to our remote learning with maths, we, by chance, and I'm sure some of my colleagues from British Council in Sub-Saharan Africa are on here, by chance we just managed to time it right, and we were able to offer training for teachers in Lesotho that are engaged in the Connecting Classrooms project. But then the British Council of South Africa were leading weekly workshops, and on this Padlet then I will archive everything, so again people can go back and they can look at the recordings, they can look at the PDFs, and they can follow up the activities. They were also utilising WhatsApp and Google Classroom, which was really successful, and we've just had conversations today about how we're going to move it forward for 21. So again, more teachers in Lesotho will be able to get involved there. But what it has beautifully knitted is the training that teachers have been doing in Wales during lockdown is really complementary with what their partners have. So we're starting to build this virtual partnership in quite a strong way. So that is my beautiful segue to introduce Polly Seaton, who is my partner in crime with Connecting Classrooms. Let me just move on to our next slide, and we'll talk a little bit about that programme and how you can get involved and how you can find out more if you are interested. And we are doing really well, Polly, at the moment. We've got a lot of action with CCGL, haven't we?
We certainly have, Sharon. Thank you so much for that. Hi, everybody. My name is Polly Seaton. Prynhawn Da, dyle fi ddweud. I work for Carmarthenshire County Council as International School Links Officer, and I'm also a local advisor on the Connecting Classrooms programme. It's my privilege to work with some of the wonderful head teachers that you heard talking earlier, and other wonderful teachers all over Wales, and wonderful teachers from Lesotho as well, many of whom have come to visit me here in my house in Kidwelly and been hosted by the family and have become friends. So I'm very fortunate to have the job that I do. So just going to say a little bit about the Connecting Classrooms programme. You've heard a lot already, but it's funded by the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office and administered by the British Council. The programme links schools from different continents to integrate teaching and learning on global issues across the curriculum and into the ethos of the school. Issues that affect everybody, like climate change, and that we're only going to solve or help solve by working together across borders. Through a Connecting Classrooms partnership, you'll also improve your own, as a teacher, your own and your learners' knowledge of another country, culture, and indeed language. And by presenting your own culture and country to others, it helps you and your learners see things from other perspectives. You motivate your learners and ensure their engagement because they've got an authentic context for their learning, and they've got a real audience as well. And they're having authentic content as well, cutting through some of that fake news that Susie referred to earlier on, challenging stereotypes and sharing work and taking action together on things that really matter, from reducing or even eradicating single-use plastic to designing a school garden adapted to climate change. And as Anthony so rightly said, it's not just about the learning, it's about the relationships that get formed. You can hear from the enthusiasm in people's voice and the smiles on their faces that people are making friends for life with Lesotho, to quote one of the pupils from Glanamore School. So to date, over 50 schools across Wales have Connecting Classrooms partnerships with schools in Lesotho. Can move on, Sharon, please. Okay, and I will too. Yep. So obviously the reciprocal visits that are funded through the programme have been a fantastic feature and do much to help encourage respect for and indeed enjoyment of diversity, as the majority of schools that we've got involved in both countries tend not to be ethnically diverse. There are some exceptions, but they tend not to be. And take a couple of examples. Well, I think we'll just take one example, Sharon, because I know we're short of time. So would you like to talk about the Caerphilly cluster that you support?
Yeah, like as Polly said, we've got 50 schools involved now and 10 clusters, but prior to lockdown, when the funding had come back out, we've only had 2 clusters that have gained and finished their projects, one in Carmarthenshire and one in Caerphilly. And so, yeah, the Caerphilly cluster was again strongly linked to Dolen. We're a key partner in this, where we place teachers in the schools that had been to Lesotho for 6 months, and then they went to those schools for 2 weeks, started up the relationship, and then we had a number of activities where we had the teachers come over here on different programs. There was the Commonwealth Fellowship Programme as well as the Connecting Classrooms Programme, which really strengthened and solidified these schools' involvement. And so their project was about SDG 3, health and well-being, and they were looking at healthy living across the miles. And they've now gained more funding for a new project and got some more schools involved to be looking at well-being post kind of COVID across the miles, and really drilling down through into a sustainable and equitable partnership. But we hope, oops, I've changed that without planning to. We hope that we can garner more interest and get more clusters, because we do have quite a few deadlines that we'll talk about in a second. But very quickly during lockdown, things were very active. Like I said, we only had these 2 clusters beforehand, and now we've got 10. So we were able to have a lot of online meetings and a lot of sharing, a lot of training. We've had training with Pearson, the British Council, WCIA, and schools have been, sharing pupils' activities and just starting to explore the SDGs together. And schools in Lesotho primary are still closed, sadly, at the moment. But we, coupled with the British Council training that teachers have had, we're now in a really strong position to see these partnerships really blossom. And there might not be a reciprocal visit next year, but that's okay. I think the relationships are strong enough to get through that, and the pupil-to-pupil projects will be fantastic. Let's just add to that one.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say it's actually been an amazing advantage in some ways to not, it sounds strange to say it, to not have the visits, because it's made us realise that we can do more online and that we can get you lovely colleagues from Lesotho with us and talking to your partner schools and planning things together and sharing songs and sharing your lessons, and it really works. You know, it's not always easy, but we can get there, and that's been a joy. So sorry, Sharon, back to you again.
That's okay. So the British Council of Wales have got a promotion currently at the moment where we can package together an application for the funding, which is imminent, as you can see, on the 2nd of December, but there are 2 more rounds, but the project will end in December 21. So the later you apply, the squeezed sense of time you've got for the project to be delivered. So Dolen will help facilitate that, and my role as education officer, but I'm also a local advisor, so I can help with that hat on as well. I don't even know what our geographical areas are anymore, Polly. It's just Polly and I that are covering the whole of Wales. So if you are interested, please do get in touch with either of us or through schools@britishcouncil.org, as you can see on the slide, and we can follow up and support you with an application for funding. Okay, we've got another project that we're going to talk about now, which we've been active and very busy during lockdown. So Polly and Mandy are going to share that with you now.
Okay, diolch, Sharon. So diolch yn fawr. This is a European funded project that we're involved in. Now in its 3rd and final year, the Global Walk project. And you can see the countries that are involved there on the map. In each country, this project's being coordinated locally by a local authority working in partnership with an NGO, a non-governmental organisation. Here in Wales, it's Ysting Carmarthenshire and the Department of Education working with Dolen Cymru Lesotho. And we work together with teachers locally to better support our young people. Working so closely with Dolen has meant us being able to bring schools from Wales's twin country into the mix. So in fact, this project is involving participation from hundreds of schools and thousands of young people on 2 continents, mobilising them in support of the Sustainable Development Goals and motivating and supporting them, importantly, to take action. We focus on a different Sustainable Development Goal each year. And the last school year, we were looking at climate action. Sharon?
Yep.
Thank you. So I'm really pleased to say that this year we've now got 18 Carmarthenshire schools taking part in the project, and 90% of them are involved in connecting classrooms, partnerships with schools in Lesotho as well. So each year starts with the creation of a resource pack on the Sustainable Development Goal in question. We train up the teachers to use this, and then following teaching and learning in each school, they select pupil ambassadors for the project, who we call the global goalkeepers. Okay, Sharon? Lovely. So the idea is that we bring everybody together, our global goalkeepers together at an event combining training and networking, marketplace and action planning. And in the pictures here, you can see our global goalkeepers. The event gave them a platform to share their concerns, as well as giving the council an opportunity to share its plans for reducing its carbon footprint. The global goalkeepers got acquainted with the support on offer from different council departments and NGOs before planning actions to take in their school and community together with their community councillors. And as you can see from the quotes, there was a really positive atmosphere and everybody was really geared up to get going. That was on the 16th of January this year. And over to Mandy now, I think.
Oh, hi everybody, it's really great to be here. So great to see so many people. We're really pleased about everybody's joining us. I work for Dolen and I've been working with Polly and Sharon on the Global Walk project. And obviously things have been a little bit difficult because of the circumstances we find ourselves in because of COVID. The idea on the project is for schools to carry out peer-to-peer and local community activities, which were supposed to happen in March and April, but we all know what happened in March and April. So lockdown came and we thought, well, we had such an enthusiasm for this project that it was we really wanted to carry on the momentum and keep the ball rolling. So we decided to carry out some online activities with the young people in the schools involved and some events. And we've been very proud to be able to help our global goalkeepers feel less isolated during such a challenging time for young people. We worked with a nucleus of 6 schools who carried out a selection of weekly home tasks, some of which you can see on the screen. There were competitions. Each Friday, we sent out home learning tasks, as well as other things going on with online and virtual events. So yeah, we had a really full time considering that the schools were locked down. Miss Sharon, can you move on?
Yep, there you go.
Thank you. So this is about, this slide is telling us about our international summer school. That every year, as part of the Walk the Global Walk, we're supposed to have a summer school in one of the partner countries. And this year's summer school was planned to take place in Italy, but obviously that was postponed. So we decided we'd go ahead and do our own summer school in Wales. And the main aim was to create a joint manifesto for the SDG 13 climate action targets. We worked with the WCIA, which were fantastic, and we had a virtual event, and we involved schools from partner countries, including Romania and France, as well as our friends from Lesotho, which was amazing. Normally, there's only funding for one Welsh school to attend face-to-face, but because we did it virtually, 5 schools participated, and our global goalkeepers were able to really participate fully and have a chance to speak in a way that they might not have done if only one school had gone to the summer school. So it was a really inclusive event and very successful. And the global goalkeepers did come up with proposals for their manifesto. And we are very proud to be able to share that. So you can see on this screen, we finalised the manifesto, and it has 8 recommendations and includes setting up a group to incorporate our global goalkeepers to monitor progress for the manifesto, and it's been signed off by the Department of Education and the Council in Carmarthenshire responsible for taking it forward. And it's a document that we're really, really proud of. And the latest hot news is that our global goalkeepers will be presenting this manifesto to the Welsh Government on the 8th of December. Thank you, Ms. Sharon. So this screen shows another Padlet. Sharon mentioned Padlets already. Padlets are amazing, folks. If you've never heard of them, they're an online bulletin board, a virtual bulletin board where teachers can collaborate and reflect and share links and pictures in a secure way. So part of the Global Walk is every year we put together a resource pack for teachers and schools to deliver lessons on the target SDG for that year. So this year we're taking on SDG 16, peace, justice and strong institutions. So we put together a resource pack full of lessons and activities so that our schools can teach in a meaningful way about peace, justice and strong institutions. And to support that, we've created a Padlet where we can hold all the materials and links to the interesting and engaging activities that we know our learners will enjoy. And the link to this Padlet will be made available to you all. And it is a really good resource just to dip into. It's so full. Thank you, Sharon.
There are some key elements which are based on Lesotho case studies as well. So please do have a chance to look at it.
So we'd just like, thank you, Mandy, for that. We'd just like to leave you with this last slide, sharing some of the lessons we've learned over the years through this project, and also our next steps for this school year, some of which we've managed to achieve already, but a lot of them are in progress. We're getting fantastic feedback from our schools already and looking forward to working on this over the year. So diolch yn fawr pawb, thank you very much. I think Sharon might finish on a little video if we have time.
Yeah, wonderful, thank you. We were hoping to say go off and get a cup of tea, but I don't think we got time. So I'll play the video, which is from our first year of Walk the Global Walk, when we had our 2 clusters over, the Caerphilly and the Carmarthenshire cluster of teachers were here, and Beaumay that were on the Wales Teacher Placement Programme. So the SDG focus was SDG 11, and this is the video of the event that we had in the Botanic Gardens. So I'm going to play the video, but please do pop to the toilet, grab yourself a quick drink if you need to, and then we'll crack on when this is finished in, I think it's 3 minutes, with the rest of our stories from Lesotho, and then we'll have a chance for a little bit of reflection. I think I'm going to squeeze our breakout rooms, guys, but we are going to have time so you can give some feedback and ask some questions. Okay, so comfort break and a little film clip for everybody now. Oh, sorry. Oh, that was annoying. I've just clicked something. Sorry, guys. Where were we? Wonderful. I'm so sorry. I just clicked something and it skipped. Hopefully we didn't miss too much of that, Paul, did we?
I think you were fine. It was a fantastic day. Somebody's just put it in the chat. I know I said there were some advantages to working online. I miss all you lovely people over here, and just imagine next time you come, it's going to be mammoth.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Oh, well, all of these videos are available on our YouTube channel, so you can take another look. But I'm just going to hand over and introduce you to our Executive Director, Veronica, if you haven't met her before. And we've just got a little, well, what can we call it? A sneak preview to share with you.
Yeah, hi everyone. It's so lovely to see everyone, and Dumalang Bo Mabo and Dade. We have got some fundraising that we're doing, but it's also a way for you to get a quick Christmas present in for someone. Thanks to Sean's idea and Vicky Norrish for helping to do this with Sharon. We've got an art auction. We've got lots of people who've donated pieces of art, but you will have the chance to have a sneak preview before it's properly launched on Monday. I'm putting the link in the chat, but there's also, it's on the next slide. So we've got presents with a purpose. So you can have a present for someone you like, or for yourself indeed, and you can bid for a number of different pieces of art, which you can look at and bid at that link that we've got there. Now, obviously on the slide, you won't be able to click on that, but if you see in the chat, you'll see that you can click on the link there and that will take you there. But you might want to just copy it or whatever else. But what we'll do is, if it's okay with everyone, we'll send some information round after this event to all the people who've attended, as well as all the people who we'd normally send it to.
Yeah.
So please have a look. There's some fantastic pieces of art, really lovely photograph from Sean as well. And I'm sure, hopefully, you know, you'll bid. It's not quite like eBay, you know, or whatever. It will be blind bids because we haven't got the technology to do anything better than that. But yeah, so if you really want one, make sure you put in a good price. Okay, lovely to see you all. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Veronica. So like I said, we'll share all the links at the end, and I'll put everything on our CCGL Padlet, because I think that's kind of the easiest place for me to put it at the moment, especially when we've got a lot of teachers here who can use some of the resources that we'll share at the end as well. Okay. Hopefully you've had a little bit of a stretch. If not, have a little one now, up and down, get those fingers moving, wake yourself back up. We got half an hour before we finish. So I've got a few more stories I want to share. And then we'll have time to have a reflection. And we've got two amazing speakers at the end to sign us off. So please bear with us. I don't think we've lost too many people. But just a little bit of context. I've got fuller versions of these videos on YouTube because it's really hard to edit down a lot of stories, but we wanted to focus particularly on this year. But we have a group of teachers in Kuting that we worked with in 2014 and 15, and 3 of them came to Wales. They came to Carmarthenshire, lived with Polly actually, for our first Wales teacher placement programme, and you know, they've been our pilot team of developing literacy lead teachers. And what they realised with what collaborations they've had with us about early stages of literacy, and particularly using Jolly Phonics, was that they could adapt that style, they could adapt the strategies and the tools that we've worked with them on to teach Sesotho. So the government in Lesotho have had different approaches to teaching Sesotho, but what we discovered is that using the sounds and building sets of sounds is really, really effective. So I just want to share what our Kuting teachers have been doing during lockdown here.
So now during the lockdown, we have created the short videos where we are helping teachers how to teach the Sesotho sounds. Sa bobedi a tle a ba hopotse hape didushwa le didu. Ebe ka morago mo he o kena ditabeng tsa sehlopha sa boraro. O nka modumo o le mongwe wa letsatsi bona ya tla ke dumiswa ke se ke tsela tla bang e sa saletse le nngwe e le ena bitsa ene le khana ntse le
from the lockdown, that they could have the help from YouTube to teach the learners the Sesotho phonics thoroughly, and we hope that they will love the Sesotho phonics because it helps learners to become the independent readers and the writers. Thank you.
So apologies to Ntate Seko if you are here. I did have to cut you out of the video because it was too long. But the longer version is on our YouTube channel, plus all the work that they've been doing over the past 2 months. And this is work in progress. They've got more sets to film, they've got more resources to make, and all of that will be available for any teacher in Lesotho. So it's quite an exciting project that we've been working on. And I've just been able to mentor and support these groups of teachers during these couple of months, and it's been fantastic. We've similarly been working with leaders in Thabet Seka, and I'll just share a slide with them. So I've done it again. Every time I play the same video. Goodness me. Right, no, doing it again. Bear with me, folks. We get there in the end. Okay, somebody has accidentally annotated on my screen, but I don't know how that's happened. That wasn't me. I don't know if you can undo that, Veronica, maybe, but it doesn't matter. We can still see. So a little bit of context again with our leaders in Thabet Seka. We've been working with teachers in Thabet Seka for the past 4 years, and we've had quite a number come to Wales, and actually that is in the video. So I'll play the video and then I'll give you a bit more information.
Hi everyone, my name is Mamutan Ranchobe, a teacher from Tabazaka LEC Primary. I'm teaching grade 7. I have attended literacy and numeracy workshops, which were led by Welsh volunteers in my district, and those workshops influenced teachers to be competent in literacy and numeracy. Thereafter, I ended up being among literacy leaders. With much support from Dolen Syndrome, during lockdown, I was working hard with Tabazaka Red Cross to help different communities to protect themselves against COVID-19 by building tippy taps so that they can wash their hands with running water regularly. Again, I started to do home learning by giving my learners more work in mathematics and English, which is progressing well compared to WhatsApp group. I'm also taking part in British Council, whereby we used to have online meetings, which equip us with skills and approaches which help us to improve teaching and learning. Thank you. I'm going to teach about the use of adverbs in grade 7. I ask 7 volunteers to come in front of the class, and they are given the charts which have some words on them.
I'm here to explain how I teach literacy in my class. Okay, when you talk of literacy, it is where we want learners to be able to read words, and we want them to read with understanding. So the first thing we do is to teach learners letter sounds.
I'd like to say we thank you a lot, Dolen, because whatever that we implement in our schools, that will come or that we experience or that we have seen while we were in Wales has been very beneficial. Like now what I am doing, I have started the lesson, the course on phonics. I have started the course on phonics, and this is all what has been done by the Dolen. Thank you so much.
Even we are in a break because of COVID-19, some of us never experienced the break. It seemed to be like usual, yes, we are hands-on.
Oh no, I've done it again. Sorry.
Course on
apologies, guys.
Some of us never experienced the break. It seemed to be like usual, yes, we are hands-on. Dolen created online visual learnings held by British Council. Support us with monthly data. With their support, I registered with CPD Jollyphonics online course, whereby I'm completed and awarded a professional certificate. Really, what Dolen do to teachers is very impressive and adorable. We now have fruitful achievements and developed in our teaching and learning. And hope when schools opens, we are going to work more harder than ever. Thank you.
I'm sure you'll agree. Anybody who knows May and Tabaseng from Array is also adorable. If you are there, May, we love you very much. So a quick reflection on what's been happening in Tabateka, from WASH to Jollyphonics to literacy support. We've also got May Julia working on some creative approaches to the curriculum and how to deal with some of those LOs. And actually this Saturday, we've got a group of teachers joining the Jolly Revolution. So South African Universal Learning Solutions charity are leading a conference on Jollyphonics and Jolly Grammar, and we were able to get some of our teachers to attend that. So our next step, hopefully when schools are opening next year, will be to support our teams to develop resources and video and digital support for teachers to approach Jollyphonics in a Basotho context. Okay, so it's all very exciting stuff. Now, the last bit we want to share with you is also extremely exciting, and this is with another collaboration with University of Wales Trinity St David's, with Catherine Bleasdale, who was due to go to Lesotho this year and couldn't. So we've been working together online to support lecturers in Lesotho College of Education. So I'm going to hand you over to Kath and move on a slide, hopefully without stopping it or doing something stupid. There we go.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, welcome everybody to my little slot of the conference. This is a very quick overview of the project that is underway at the moment, and it's a delight to be able to work with colleagues in the Lesotho College of Education. I have been to the LCE on a couple of occasions and always had a great welcome from everybody there, and it's lovely to be working across Zoom with them again this year. So the project that we're undertaking is to develop mentoring and coaching within the school experience for practicing teachers, and the project outline we've started, and we're hoping that we'll be able to develop as the schools return and the practicing teachers are able to undertake their experience in schools. So we're a little bit COVID dependent, but we've cracked on with the online workshops and seminars, and 8 tutors from LCE have been working with Sharon and myself to practice our mentoring skills and to get really to grips with the ways of working that we can then share with the cooperating teachers, the mentors in schools that will support the student teachers who are known as practicing teachers in Lesotho. So the workshops have looked at different skills in mentoring, and will then sort of feed into a briefing session with the cooperating teachers, where we'll be able to share some of our nuggets of information and some new found techniques, and that will feed then into a series of seminars across the Tabaseka schools that are going to be involved in the pilot, where we'll concentrate on professional dialogue, where we're sharing good practice of mentoring. And the idea is that hopefully, if schools are open and we can do this, that each time we have a seminar, it'll be in a different setting, so we'll be able to see on the spot what things are happening in those different schools. And obviously, then we'll come to the review event, where we'll think about what worked and what didn't work in order to move the project forward. So just to give you a flavour of the sorts of things that we've been doing, we use something called Mentimeter, just on the next slide, please, Sharon, to think about what mentoring meant and what the characteristics of a good mentor would be. And you can see by the size of the word patient that it was the key to being a good mentor, to being a good cooperating teacher, supporting practicing teachers. And just to then give a final sort of idea of how the project is going, these are some comments from participants in the project. So it's as much an honour for us to be working together as it appears for the Lesotho tutors from the LCE, and you know, we're developing this focus again on what mentoring means, that will allow us to share with the cooperating teachers and the practicing teachers our vision for supporting progress of individuals in their teaching career, their early teaching career. And I think something that Sean said that resonated with me, because it fits with this project as well, is that it is a combination. Although we're working at the moment with the tutors from LCE, we are working towards working with cooperating teachers and practicing teachers during their teaching practice in schools. So I think it's a really exciting project, and as I say, I'm delighted to be part of it. Diolch yn fawr.
Thank you, Kath. It's been a learning curve for us both, working out the approaches, the technology, sending pre-recorded materials, using Google Forms, using different approaches. And what is it, Kath? Panopto that you use?
Yes, Panopto. Yes,
very good.
It's broadened my IT skills considerably.
Yes, I think everybody still in this conference can say that their digital literacy has gone up the curve quite significantly. But bringing it back to World Children's Day as well, you know, we're looking at young students that are thrown into classrooms in Lesotho that are very challenging. And what we hope with this is that their voices, their ability to reflect and think and use their own opinions and voices to shape their identity as a teacher can start to be developed, and that they can start to work and have that coaching relationship with their tutors and their mentors, rather than replicating work that doesn't always fit. And as we all know, and as we've been talking about in the British Council training, is about the skills fit for the 21st century and post-COVID. So so this is a really exciting pilot. So it's great working with you, Kath. Thank you.
Thank you. And with you, you're very patient too, Sharon.
I had to take over at one point, folks, because Kath's Wi-Fi went down.
My Wi-Fi went.
Right, we don't have time for breakout rooms, like I said, unfortunately. I do apologise, but hopefully everything has been worthwhile listening to. What we have now is time to have a little reflection, and I'm just going to give you the Mentimeter link that we've got, so you can hopefully go to that link and type up a reflection. Now, these questions are just prompts. You could just make a comment in the chat if you want to, but if you'd like to use Mentimeter, we're going to have a flow of conversation there. And we are interested in where you are coming from. So why were you here today? What has been good? And how do you foresee your role, your link? Is that something that we can help you with? Is there something that you need to tell us? Your ambitions, your ways forward in this new world. So if I click on the next slide, I'm hoping somebody can put that in the chat for me. Mandy, are you able to do that? Because I think I put it in the document you've got. If not, I can stop sharing.
Hang on.
Have you got it, Mand?
Wait a minute. Oh.
Don't worry, I can do it really quick. I can just stop and share. I'll just put it in the chat this way. That's okay.
I got it. Go on then, if you got it.
I got it.
Yeah.
So for those of you that haven't used Mentimeter, this will take you to another website. So in the chat, there's a link here. And you click on that link, and then the screen that I just showed will come up. So you're not you're going to go out of Zoom onto an internet website. So if that's too hard to do on your phone, don't worry, you could do it after the conference. But if you are on a laptop and you're able to do it, that would be wonderful. Because if I share my screen again now, I will be able to see some of the results that come up. It is a fantastic free tool. So anybody that's doing remote learning in any capacity, please check it out because you can do so much with it. Oh, no, I think I picked the wrong thing again. I knew technology would be a challenge, right? This is going to be the scrolling results. So hopefully you've been able to click on and add some reflections. But like I said, don't worry, you could always do it after. I'm going to hide that image so we can see. Sharon rocks. I love it. I like that. Thank you very much. But yeah, so have a little think, like I said, those key questions. And I'm just going to give a little bit of prep to our 2 closing speakers. So we have Ntate Poka, who has given us a video that I'm going to share shortly. And if he is online and he wants to add to it at the end, please do. And then I'm going to hand over to our final closing remarks from Gareth Morgans, a member of our board and Director of Education in Carmarthenshire. So you can see how this is flowing. This is lovely. So yeah, please do continue to write those bits up, and then I will move swiftly on to our video shortly so we do finish on time. I attended the conference to support my experience of being within a cluster. Brilliant. And see the amazing work. Excellent. Celebrate our partnership work. Hear more about the impact in Wales. Fantastic event. Lovely. Oh, and then it automatically scrolls. Brilliant. 35 years and still going. Did Jolly Phonics training in Kuting. Still, it's going from strength to strength. Brilliant. Okay. So because of time, guys, I will move on, but please do continue to type and submit, and then those will stay on there and I can share them after the conference. You can see other people's opinions, but brilliant. It's great that you've been able to access that. Okay, let me go back to my slides. Right, so whilst you're doing that, I'm just going to quickly show you, when you get the link for these slides, there are lots of links on here, and I'm also going to put them on Padlet. Just again to spotlight some things we've talked about. We've got social media links to the organisations and the projects that we've talked about. There are different Padlets full of resources, one like I showed you for Lesotho, one for Walk the Global Walk, and one for Connecting Classrooms. On the Connecting Classrooms Padlet, there are some resources for tomorrow, for World Children's Day. There's a resource about the SDGs with the Lesotho focus and the rights of the child. And there's also a link, which, where is it? Oh gosh, I didn't save the right slide, but there is a link on there to some resources from Ysgol Plasmawr in Cardiff, who went to Lesotho this year, and they've made some lovely videos and PowerPoints, and some of them are bilingual, that you could use with young people if you're working in schools. And again, it's got that voice of the young person rather than the adult talking through things. So I think in celebration of people's voices, that would be really good to use. On the left, we've got some key Lesotho links. We haven't been able to mention the Lesotho Rugby Academy. It's an amazing work happening, and Mandy is working on that project as well. So if you want to find out more, you can ask us. We're also collaborating with Lesotho Red Cross, so please do follow them on social media and their work with WASH. Marija Hub is an amazing organisation in just outside Maseru, which I strongly urge you to follow on social media and use as a resource for teaching and learning, but also just genuine information about Lesotho. It's amazing. And currently, Justice is in Tapaseka taking photographs with us. So we've got a professional photographer, Justice Kalebe, who is phenomenal. He's got an amazing Instagram account, so please do follow that. And from all the learning that's happening in Lesotho, we are publishing weekly blogs called Lockdown Learning in Lesotho. So there's a link there, and you can take the link to our art auction as well. I feel like I'm doing some serious promoting here now, but it's important that you all get that. And then let me move on to the next slide. Just a little bit more there about what I've said about Children's Day. So it is happening tomorrow. If you can even flag it slightly in your context by wearing blue and sharing something on social media, that'd be amazing. Sharing something about today, but definitely advocating the rights of the child and that learner voice. And there's that link to the Plasma resources as well. So I hope to see some activity online tomorrow. Tag Dolen Cymru if you can. I'm going to skip this and I'm going to move straight to our closing remarks. So we've got Tempe's done a video just in case the network was down. But like I said, if you are there and Tate, maybe you can speak after I've played your video.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tempe Foga. I'm and to be able to present my perspective to you all. Thank you all for taking time, patiently listening and taking part in the fruitful conference that advocates the rights of the children around the world. This also marks the history as this day, the 20th of November 2020, is celebrated differently due to COVID-19, which has made the world to stand still. As you would all recall, that years ago, the world leaders made a historic commitment to the world children by adopting the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Children. It has become the most widely ratified human treaty and has to transform children's life around the world. However, it is not everyone that gets the full childhood. Too many children are disadvantaged in terms of quality education and good health, to mention few. As a matter of fact, it is up to us and the present generation to demand that all leaders in the government, organizations, and businesses fulfill their commitments. It is my strong belief that we will go back to our schools, offices, organizations, and charities and reflect on what we have gained from this conference and join hands together to fight for the rights of the children. May I kindly request you to judge yourselves not on your professional accomplishment alone, but also on how well we have addressed the SDG 4 in all spheres of life and act in accordance with United Nations conventions. I would like to thank all the wonderful organizers of this conference, all the people who addressed us tonight, and amazing lineup. The time you took out of your busy personal and professional schedules will be a catalyst to the lives of children of the world, and that will be an achievement to Dolen Cymru and its partners, as well as Lesotho West Link. In a nutshell, based on the power vested on me, I declare this conference officially closed. Peace, reign, and prosperity. Hotopula Nala, Diakon Fao, Nosta.
Kela Bowen Tate. Now it's not officially closed yet because we're going to hear from Gareth Morgans, but wonderful words for Tempe. If you are there, I can't see you, but if you are there, wonderful speech and very wise words indeed. And we thank you sincerely for your support and dedication to keep our collaboration alive. It's phenomenal. So on that note, I will ask Mr. Morgans. I can see you there, Tabiso and Tati Tabiso. If we move to speaker view, we can get a nice close-up of Ntate Gareth to close us. And I'll just say before Gareth speaks, thank you to everybody for joining. Thank you to my amazing team of volunteers that work so hard with me. And then all my lead teachers in Lesotho, you are phenomenal. I love you. And thank you. This event has been amazing. So I'll hand over to Gareth. Thank you, sir.
Diolch, Sharon. Noswaith dda, good evening, dwi'n meddwl. Fel wedodd Sharon, Gareth Morgans dwi. Dwi'n un o ymddiriedolwyr Dolen ac yn aelod o Bwyllgor Addysg a Bartneriaeth. Fy ngwaith bob dydd yw gweithio yn yr adran addysg yn Sir Gyfyrddin, a braf gweld rhai o benaethiaid ysgol talentog Sir Gyfyrddin yn cyfrannu i'r gynhadledd bwysig hon heddi. A pleser hefyd ni fel awdurdod addysg yw noddi'r gynhadledd. Fel chi'n gweld y logo tu ôl i fi, mae draig yn rhan o'r logo Sir Gyfyrddin, ond mae'r logo wedi cael ei addasu yn arbennig ar gyfer y gynhadledd, a mae'r mocorolto ar ben y ddraig. Gai ddiolch i bawb sydd wedi cyfrannu ar gynhadledd arbennig hon. Dwy wlad yn dysgu ar y cyd ac yn rhannu arfer dda. A gai ddiolch i Sharon a'r tîm sydd wedi bod i'n ddewid yn cynllunio yr arlwy ydy ni fwynhau. I'm Gareth Morgans. I'm a Dolen Cymru trustee and a member of the Partnerships Education Group. My day job is leading the education department here in Carmarthenshire, and it's good to see some of my talented head teachers contributing to this important conference today, and also an ex-deputy head as well in Sean, so kind of a lot of Carmarthenshire on the screen. It's also my pleasure really to sponsor this event this evening as well, and as you can see, the Carmarthenshire logo has been adapted with the Basuto hat on our dragon. Can I thank everybody who has taken part? It's been a really impressive conference with a range of activities and projects with an impact on Lesotho, but also an impact on Wales. And can I thank Sharon and the team really for planning such a wonderful conference. Now, I've been involved with Dolen Cymru for over 25 years, and I'm pleased to see the charity develop and venture into new areas such as this virtual conference. Now, in a world where COVID reigns and also there are some 8,500 miles between us, our aspirations are very similar, which is to provide the best education possible for our children and young people. We're entering an exciting period in Wales of constructing and introducing a new curriculum, which will be local and which will need to reflect the needs of children in Wales. And I believe that Dolen Cymru will have a key role in that exciting curriculum. Being part of this partnership will enrich education and will give our schools a real purpose to develop literacy, numeracy, information technology, and the new curriculum areas. Now, one of the purposes of the new curriculum is to create ethical, informed citizens of Wales and the world. And our work that has been highlighted in this conference clearly demonstrates the contribution that it can make to realising that aim. Can I thank the Minister, Eluned Morgan, for opening our conference along with Susie Ventris-Field, and can I thank the Minister for her support to our charity over many, many years, and really we value that input this evening. Felly, gloi, diolch eto I bawb sydd wedi cyfrannu ac sydd wedi bod yn fodlon I rannu I profiadau a'i harbenigedd gyda'n gilydd rwy'n hyderus y gallwn ni lwyddo. Can I close the conference by thanking everybody who's taken part and willing to share their experiences, and I know working together in partnership we will succeed. The Nos Da, Chotso, good evening everyone.
Diolch, Gareth. Virtual clapping. You can all put your cameras on if you can, folks, and we can take a photograph before we finish, because that was a wonderful end. Thank you very much, Gareth, indeed. So if you can pop your cameras on, I will take a picture of each screen, if possible. Wonderful. Sean, have you disappeared? I think you have. No, there we go. Right, I need to do it of each screen, so bear with me. Un, dau, tri. We're going to give a big smile and say Nos Da. That's one. Okay, let me save that. 2 seconds. And now my next screen, you don't know what screen you're on, so you're going to have to... By this time, everybody needs a nice big smile and say Chotso. There we go. Let me save that one.
Chotso.
Beautiful.
Bye.
My last screen, don't disappear.
Bye.
Last screen.
Chotso.
Chotso.
Bye.
I've got it. Right, thank you guys. So you can sign off now. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you for your patience. And I'll follow up an email tomorrow with all the links and everything you need.
All
right, thank you.
Well done, Sharon Flint.
It worked, guys. Thank you. Really good.
Well done.
Well done, Sharon.
Yeah, well done, Sharon. Brilliant. Well done. Really good.
Well done.
Guys, there's a Tempe. Thank you, Tempe, for your
Oh,
speech. Wonderful.
yeah, it was lovely.
Nice Tempe.
Congratulations, that was fab.
Thank you.
Oh, so
good. And you, Catherine.
And you've got
Very
your
much, Sharon. Bye.
Oh, good. It's so good that so many of you are on here. Mela Hobo's there as well. Wonderful. Oh, diolch yn fawr, everybody.
Well
Bye.
done.
Really good.
Lovely.
Well
So
done.
I'm not going to end the meeting yet. If you guys press leave, and then if you want to stay to talk, you can stay for a little bit. But if you start clicking leave, people will disappear. There we go. Wonderful.
Sharon, I've got to go.
Well
Well
done.
done.
No
Fantastic.
problems. Thanks, guys.
Well done. Well
thanks,
done.
Paul.
Well
Good
done.
to see you.
Lovely. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
It's freaking me out, all these Sharon Flints.
I thought one is enough.
I know. Oh,
I can cope with one.
My print screen, they're all Sharon Flints on there.
Well done, Sharon.
Oh, it went really well, guys. Thank you. Later, Maya, I couldn't
You're
use your
welcome.
video, sorry. So it was only a little
You're
bit.
welcome.
And Tabasang, hello, darling.
Hello, Mary.
You are adorable. We love you lots.
Thank you very much. I'm so happy to hear from you.
It's okay. It's okay. Wonderful. Oh, look at that. Still, I can see loads of Sharon. That's brilliant. Right. Wonderful.
Hey, Mary Lillian. How are you? How is your baby, Mary Lillian?
He's fine.
Oh, is he walking?
Yes, and he can dance.
Oh, wow.
I'll stop recording now, actually.